teams with the latest bye week in the NFL, Week 14. They have today off before they hit the stretch run of the season. So, Cerrone, it feels like we'll get a little big picture today. We'll get a little big picture on the 2024 Patriots themselves. We will get into a little look ahead to the offseason. And it is Sunday kickoff, but we've had two somewhat big breaking non-football stories this season during the show. Jeremy Swayman signed. The coaching change with the Bruins. So I've told Kyle to be ready with the breaking news sounder in case we get Soto. That feels like cutting in for a little bit. I would love to jump Matt McCarthy, who's coming up at 10 o'clock, to be the first one to talk about it, because I know how much he wants that. So we'll have an eye on that. But in the meantime, no news yet. In the meantime, we are going to talk Patriots here for the next 2 hours. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. This will be much more of a free-form kind of show. If you listened to us last year, this will run a little more like the off-season shows, because it's kind of where we're at with this Patriots team, Cerrone, right? We're looking ahead now to 2025, and it stinks because usually the bye week, I actually have a bye week take, and I think you do as well, based on the show email. Usually the bye week somewhere in the middle, and you use it as kind of a state, all right, logical breaking point. What do we like from the first half? What do we not like? What needs to change? Can they make a run? The Patriots are 3-10. They're officially eliminated from playoff contention. Just as a general thing, and I wrote this on 985thesportshub.com this week in my 5 things column, the Patriots should not have a bye week this late. No NFL team should have a bye week this late. Bye weeks well into December are completely pointless. Completely pointless. And I get it. The NFL doesn't want to have too many bye weeks at once because they don't want to water down the product in any individual week, which fine. But you still have 6 bye weeks this week, and you had 6 2 weeks ago. So you backloaded the byes, and you loaded some of the weeks. Meanwhile, there were no bye weeks in Week 8. There were only 2 teams off in Week 7 and 9. You could have spread this out and not had teams off so late. So, I don't know. Is it old man yells at cloud a little bit? And ultimately it won't matter because that 18th game is going to be here sooner rather than later. That probably comes with a second bye week and completely changes the structure of the whole thing. But I hate this late of a bye week in general. I don't think any team should have it. But I know you have a feeling, Cerrone, as it relates directly to the Patriots.
Yeah, when it comes to the Patriots, I feel that I wonder if a bye week with this team, with a young team, with a new coaching staff, all those things, new quarterback, would it had really benefited them if they had it earlier in the season, if they had it around Week 8, Week 9, where they had a chance to get themselves together with an extra week of practice, some rest, to get some of their key bodies healthy, just little things like that, just for them, the coaches, to get on the right page, come up with different game plans, different strategies, different ways to use guys, so they can have a mental break for themselves for all the way around. And I'm not saying that it would have resulted in a bunch of wins, but I think young teams benefit more of having that early bye, that mid-season bye if you can. Not too early because you don't want, now you got a long stretch in the end, but a mid-season bye. Look, honestly, my opinion, I think everybody should have the same bye weeks, no advantages. I think everybody should get, I know the NFL don't want to do it, but 1 week where there's no NFL football, I don't know what else they can do to make money in between that. I mean, not make money, they make money anyway, but a mid-season bye, that way everybody's on equal playing field and has the same advantages and whatever. But a young team getting a bye in December is like punishment, in my opinion. But I just wonder if this team, would have had a chance to get that bye earlier on, especially when they went to the easier part of their schedule. If they had a bye to get themselves together and prepare more for those games, could the results have been a little different here or there? Who knows? But I would love to see everybody have a bye more to the middle of the season as opposed to late or in, at the end of September or something like that.
Again, once we get to the 18th game, if that comes with 2 more weeks in the double bye week, I think you will see them closer together. I don't know. They're never going to take a week off in the middle.
Yeah.
Most leagues that do that, would you do the Pro Bowl in the middle of the season? I feel like the NFL season is too short for that. When you talk about the young team, though, the thing that stood out to me at the beginning when the schedule came out was this was the second time the Patriots had a rookie quarterback in a late bye. They had the Week 14 bye the Mac Jones year, too. Now, on top of that, They had their mini bye week 11. The Patriots had the Thursday night game really early. They had it week 3. So coming into the year, I thought, well, if the late bye week impacts them anything, it's getting Drake May in. And they're going to have to do that on a regular week and not have the extra time. That's been fine. That hasn't been an issue.
Yeah.
So the one thing you looked at where the bye week placement might hurt them didn't. But you're right. I think if they had a chance to maybe pause and collect themselves earlier, they did after the Jets game. But then you got to go to San Francisco, which is just such a tough matchup.
Yeah.
They got no favors there. Look, that's not to say if they had an earlier bye week, they'd make the playoffs. I don't think so.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
This is just a general gripe I have with the NFL and one of those like, player safety and this and that and, integrity of the game and the product. It's bad for the product. It's bad for player safety to have, teams usually have bye week starting week 3, and I thought that was early, and they moved that back, which, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
But now they need to move this up, and I get it. You want everybody playing Thanksgiving weekend, fine. Week 8? Why does everybody have to play week 8? Whatever it was, at Halloween?
Yeah, right. That should be the one where most teams are off.
Right. Oh, well, we got to get everybody out there on Halloween so we can get the camera shots, go to commercial of fans in costumes. Like, come on. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, unless it's a stadium usage thing, but I don't think it would be that over the top when it comes to that.
No, you got 8 home games. I mean, excuse me. Yeah, well, whatever it is, but they could figure that out if you knew in advance, okay, we're going to be either off this week or we're playing this week. I think that the teams, the stadiums, guys that run the stadium, they could figure out the scheduling. But, I mean, this a Patriots team, with especially as banged up as this team was on the defensive side of the ball early on with Bentley being out, Peppers being out. Of course, we mentioned what's his name in the middle, Barmore.
Yeah.
Could you know what I'm saying? If you'd had that 2-week bye with Barmore trying to come back, would it have been easier to ease him in with those 2 weeks, instead of just throwing him out there? Because remember, you guys were down there covering this. It was like, oh, he's here at practice. He's not going to play. He's only been there 2 days. Bam, he's on the field that Sunday. What would that 2 weeks have looked like for him? Could he have been, more impactful when he came back after having a couple weeks of practice? Little things like that. Getting your offensive line together. This team has been a revolving door in the offensive line all season. What would that 2 weeks have looked like? Getting those guys together, getting a strategy together, getting guys healthy, coming in after that bye. And what's really would suck is if they came out next week and played their best game of the season after this bye, and you're sitting there like that. What could have been if they would have had it a little earlier? But who knows? We'll see.
Well, the way this team's gone, they'd play their best game after the bye and then their worst game probably the week after that. We actually have some people that want to weigh in on bye week talk. You want to weigh in? 617-779-0985. Bill in New Hampshire on the bye week. Bill.
Hey, guys. Hey. I've been saying this for years. Everybody should have the bye week, and then if the NFL wants to make it interesting, you do it the week of the trade deadline. So then you can have a lot to talk about. You have a lot to market. You incorporate the new players into the team with the extra week. It turns the bye week into like an extravaganza. It makes the bye week fair. I've been saying this for years. I love that idea. But I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
That's not a bad idea.
I like it.
You have to do something that week, and I don't think it can be the Pro Bowl. So you have to do something that week. But the NFL trade deadline usually isn't very involved. So you have that whole week of build-up, and there's no moves. I get you could hype it up.
Yeah, you could, but I wonder would it be more if teams knew they would have that 2 week, that break to make a deal and bring guys in and incorporate them. Our team's really hesitant because they don't have
them. Well, I guess if you make the move sooner, yeah, you can make the move in the week leading up to the bye week. I think you'll see a more consolidated once we get to 18 games in 20 weeks.
Yeah,
I think you'll see that, but that's just me.
If you did the double bye, like you mentioned, if you go to the 18-game schedule, when they go to the 18-game schedule, you think it'd be more uniform then?
Yeah, because there's just the windows are tighter because you're not going to have a team with a bye week like week 7 and week 9.
No, true.
Right,
yeah.
You'll probably go through all 32 teams once and then all 32 teams again. So you're going to have to consolidate them a little more, but that's a ways down the road. Just some, literal bye week thoughts here on the bye week, but I want to get into the state of this team and particularly the coaching staff. Gerard Mayo kind of gave a state of the team, shared a little bit where he's at with NBC Sports Boston this week, and with the team at 3-10, there's questions about him. There's questions about the rest of the coaching staff, the job they've done so far, and if they will still have jobs next year. So we'll start there. We'll get into the offseason as well. You want to join us, 617-779-0985, off and running here on the bye week edition of the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Boys Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the
With 8 minutes left, ran the ball 2 times into the line, punted, and then they got the ball, and you know the rest. I said, man, that's the first time in the entire game they ran the ball 2 times to open a drive. They were trying to bleed the clock. Your best player, in my estimation, is Drake. Why not just let him cook? Why not just go for the attack? At this juncture, it's a team that is struggling to get wins. And I was wondering why no attack mentality. Have you been introspective and said, man, are we too cautious here? Why would it be that way?
I always try to reflect, after the games. And, now we're in the bye week, so there's definitely a chance and opportunity to reflect on the entire season up until this point and what we need to do going forward. Now, in saying that, I still have a lot to learn as well as the head coach of this football team. And I understood that, it's a very different role. In saying that, I tell the players the same thing. The biggest jump you'll ever have in your career is from year 1 to year 2, as far as becoming a better player, a better professional. I'm sure 100% I will be a better coach in year 2 than I am in year 1.
That was Gerard Mayo with Tom Curran on NBC Sports Boston this week. As you heard him say there, it's good time to reflect on the bye week, so let's do that, Cerrone. Gerard Mayo also talking about, he'll be a better coach in year 2 than year 1. That has to be the goal. I don't know where you stand on this. We haven't talked about this. When it comes to Gerard Mayo's job security, because it's a popular talking point. Is there a case to move on? Yes. I don't think that's going to happen for a number of different reasons. One, just being the nature in which he was hired. And 2, if you one and done him with this roster, you're not going to get any of the top coaching candidates to come in and replace him. Because they're going to look at it and say, well, you hyped him up that much, and he only got a year with that group. Why would I go there and, you only get so many shots at being a head coach. Why are you going to burn one on that? So, they're really not going to be a destination at that point. So I think he's back. Might be on the hot seat, but I do think he's back. What do you make of the job Gerard Mayo has done so far compared to your expectations coming into the season? And on the other thing, too.
No, just the last part, which you just said, the expectations coming in. Yeah. I think we have to go back to the summer or when, before this whole thing started. And they were expected from Vegas on down to local fans to be the worst team in the NFL. They were expected to, some had them winning one game, remember the whole talk was how many weeks before they win a game. That was the thing before the season started. Looking at the schedule, they might not win until Halloween or whatever it was. They weren't expected to be that good because the roster was that bad. Even if, Mayo did a spectacular job, I don't think people expected them to win a ton of games just simply because of the talent. And the Drake May part was unknown as well. Jacoby Brissett early on, that was a huge part of it. And that's all before we knew all the captains on the team would either be hurt or whatever. Andrews going down, Barmore going down, Bentley going down, Peppers going down. The defense is what we counted on this team. Well, at least they'll be a good defensive team. And then you lose all your key pieces on defense. You lose your captain in the middle, your center, and you lose. Stevenson has his injuries early on. You have his fumble issues. Yet little things like that. So I think with the expectation, it's right probably where we thought they would be. And because of that, I think he'll be back. I truly understand the Crafts knew the deal coming in with the roster, with this talent, and they weren't expecting him to win 10 or 11 games. And because of that, I feel they're going to give him time to build his roster and put his players in place and, put his imprint on this team and roster and then say, okay, now you got the players. Let's see what happens now. And then you go out there and pull a Jacksonville with a high expectations, or the Jets, or some of these other teams, Cincinnati Bengals, all these teams that put rosters together with a lot of talent. And then you still go out there and you're a 3-4 win team. Then we're talking about job security for everybody involved. Wolf, everybody could be gone. But I think they all understood this team wasn't that good. It wasn't that talented. And it was all about developing the quarterback, which they've done. You got to give them credit for that. And now I'm pretty sure they're going to have the opportunity to build this roster up and to see what they can do once they have some talent.
So do you think everybody's back? So we both agree Mayo's back. Is there anybody you look at and you say, all right, this guy is coaching for his job over the last 4 weeks, or maybe it's just the mind's already made up. He's out.
Hey, man, you got to look at the defensive side of the ball. I think that's the part we're most disappointed about. We thought the one thing they're going to be able to do is play defense. And, hey, you got to look over at Covington and say, hey, man, you got to show something. I know, unfortunately, you got Josh Allen twice. You got Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray. But, yeah, you have to show something. And I think the only case he can make to save his job is like, look, man, coming into this, I didn't know I was going to lose my best defensive lineman, my best linebacker, and my best safety, through this process earlier in the season. And that might save him. But some of these games they've had where you got the Jags running 17 times in a row, they couldn't stop it. Last week's game against the Colts would have had a 17-play drive, whatever crazy amount
19.
of plays, that 19-play drive against that Colts offense. Little things like that, getting off the field. That's the one negative looking at this team that we didn't see coming. We thought they would be a solid defensive team, and they're 22 points a game, whatever it is, which is not crazy, but they lost a lot of games this year because they could not get stops. And I think that's the one position you got to look at. And I look at Van Pelt and say, I don't want my young quarterback losing his guy that developed him quickly. We've seen what happened with Mac Jones once they took everything from around him. So I think the offensive side is probably fine, but you got to look at Covington and that defense to see what he can do the rest of the way and what case he can make about coming back next year.
So I look at Covington on the defensive side of the ball and say, absolutely. You finish whatever it would be, 3-14, 4-13, even if they sneak one in here, you can't run it back with the top three guys. You can't. Yeah. And Covington, the defense, even though they had injuries, did have a level of talent. They had injuries last year. They were better than this. So I look at Covington on the offensive side of the ball. I agree with you on Van Pelt. Unless it's something where like Brian Daboll says, I'll come be the OC and I won't leave for 3 years, right? I'm holding on to Alex Van Pelt. He's done a good job with Drake May. Keep that continuity. It's not a lifetime appointment. I know some people get uncomfortable and say, well, the offense isn't imaginative and the play calling. It's not a lifetime appointment. Keep Van Pelt one more year, just the continuity, continue that development, and then you can talk about maybe going for a more creative play caller once the offense is sort of built from the core and Drake May's built up. That being said, there is one guy I look at on the offense side of the ball, and that's wide receivers coach Tyler Hughes. And you have Jalen Polk on pace to have one of the worst wide receiver seasons in NFL history. You haven't really gotten much from Javon Baker. Pop Douglas has been inconsistent. They need more from that room. And look, we'll talk about the draft later. It's possible that they draft a wide receiver. And with their development history, I wouldn't, because their development history at that position is so bad. I like Ted McMillan. I don't think that he's Patriots proof. So they need to figure out something with their wide receiver program because it's not working. Hughes was here under Belichick, so you figure there's some carryover from what they were doing before. That's one guy I look at on the offensive side of the ball. And it's like the player development aspect just is not there at that position. Now, on the flip side, I'm pounding the table making sure they keep Scott Peters, even if they move on from Alex Van Pelt. You look at the job Scott Peters has done. It's a different lineup the offensive line coach. It's a different lineup every week. It's guys not just in and out of the starting lineup. It's guys on and off the roster. They're pulling guys off the street. Some of these guys are like fringe NFL caliber players. To me, it hasn't been good, but it's been a lot better than expected. It's been a lot better than it probably should be, given the personnel. Yeah. When you give that guy 5 NFL caliber players starting week in and week out together, I think he's going to give you something special. Yeah. So Peters is the one guy I'm pounding the table for keeping no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought up the offensive line. I know they haven't been great. I know they haven't been dominant. But the one thing I think, it's weird. It seems like lately, I'm just going by late, not the way the season started, just in the last 4 games or so. It's not that they haven't been good once the ball's been snapped or holding. the penalties, the little things like that. But then I'm looking, it's like, okay, that was a good running lane. Okay, yeah, they held up long enough for May to not get hit. You know, they did those things, but it's just the inconsistency with the penalties that is the most frustrating part. But I think that comes with continuity. I think that comes with being familiar with just being out on the field. Okay, I know May likes to get rid of the ball. That ball's gone in 2.2 seconds. I got a mental clock that says, hold up. Okay, ball's out. Just being inconsistent, I think, leads to the holding. If you're on the right side, if you're on the left side, week after week, you're constantly changing. Little things like that lead to communication issues and stuff like that. So like you said, if you can find a way to get a constant 5 out there that can build some kind of chemistry through training camp and through the first month of the season, some kind of timing and pattern, I think you'll be on to something on that offensive line. And when you have a quarterback like that, you clearly see he makes them better than what we thought they were when he's out there on the field. So I agree with you, man. If you get 5 good guys out there, you're going to be good to go in that part of the field. The other position, I'm going to say worried about. I think it's more to do with the players, is running backs. And we saw early on they were a good unit with Ramondre and Gibson. They were moving the ball on the ground, and all of a sudden they just died. Now, I don't know if that's the players, hitting a wall, or Ramondre, as he hit that running back wall at that point in his career where it's like, that's it. That could be, I think it's a combination of the offensive line. But I want to see more out of the running backs and more explosiveness. I've said that from all season, beginning of the season. But that could be a personnel issue more than a coaching issue or something like that. That's offensive line as well. So that's the other side that I'm concerned about, is the running backs. And like you mentioned, the wide receiver room, you might have to change everything in there, which sucks. But that's a major issue going into next season.
Let's take a couple calls here before we hit the break. Deshaun in Virginia on the Patriots draft philosophy. Deshaun, good morning.
Hello, guys. Good morning.
Hey.
Before when I called you, I mentioned about the Patriots potentially trading the first pick to try to also get DK Metcalf if they try to get T. Higgins. But actually, when you mentioned T-Mac, that's the guy I had in mind. I actually wouldn't mind if they actually drafted T-Mac and then try to go get T. Higgins and some offensive linemen in free agency. I think that'd be the best route to go. And then I want to allude to the fact that when it comes to the coaching, but the offensive line, I said, yeah, that's the problem. I said the main reason why these places that they're not performing as well as they should be, because it really is about the players. You got to bring up about the game about Jacksonville, about when it comes to the D-line, not be able to get pushed or whatever. It's simply because it's the players. If you were able to run 18, 19, 20 times, I would have liked that. It has a lot to do with the talent. And that's on either both sides. Even with the penalties from guys like Verdarian Lowe, they're just not talented enough to block anybody. Now, if you get Scott Peters from offensive line, like you said, they may probably can do something with that. But it's the players that the reason why they can't perform like the way they want to.
Thanks for the call, Deshaun. I'll say this on the T. Higgins, Ted McMillan thing, and be clear, I wouldn't be totally against them drafting Ted McMillan.
Yeah.
The development plan needs to be better. Him and Higgins are very similar players. So it's going to be tough to put them both on the field at the same time. If that's the route you want to go, you're probably talking more like Luther Burden. He would be the guy you pair with Higgins, but the wide receiver from Missouri. But if they double dip, they need talent there, and double dipping is a way to add talent. And then we got Joe in the car wants to talk on, if you missed it earlier, what should the NFL do about the bye week? Should every team have the same bye week? If so, what would the NFL do during that week, Joe?
Morning, gentlemen. Just real quick, AFC Week 8, NFC Week 9, flip-flop every other year. Still have 16 teams. You can play 8 games to cover your weekend.
Yeah, I don't hate that. That's not a bad idea. That. I think that, every team having a bye is tough, but if maybe you just have 2 weeks and you try to block it off so you get premium matchups and you have, because if every team in the conference is playing, all right, you try to get rivalries together. These games are going to have more eyeballs on them, so you try to line it up to get better games. That could certainly make some sense.
I like that.
That's not a bad one. So before we get in the offseason stuff, because we touched on it a little bit there, the Patriots still have 4 games left to play. What are we looking for down the stretch? We'll get to that next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Hardy.
can flip to the offensive side of the ball. And I know people get frustrated with lack of production here and there, but you have two receivers. Well, you have Baker, you have Polk, you have Layden Robinson, Caden Wallace, all of those guys. Like, we want to push them out there, and again, in an effort to know what we have in the offseason.
Cerrone Mayo this week with Tom Curran on NBC Sports Boston, talking about wanting to get the younger players more involved over the final 4 weeks of the season. It's Alex, Barth, and Cerrone battle here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, bye-week edition. And as I said earlier, usually with the bye week, there's more of a look-ahead element with it being so late this year and the Patriots at 3-10. This feels more like a chance to look ahead to the offseason. But with 4 games left, Cerrone, Cerrone Mayo kind of laying out the big point for me. Let's see these kids that haven't played a ton, Cole Strange, Caden Wallace, the receivers, etc. I'd like the team to see what they have in those guys here down the stretch.
Yeah, I think everybody would. I think that it'll, for the people who've already turned this team off, I think this would be a way to get them to pay attention, because he's looking ahead. You're looking to see what guys can do. And we've seen teams throughout this league for years, have a good December, be in games, win some games, and then it carries over. We've seen it years ago, of course, with this team with, Parcells and some of those guys who had good Decembers, and things kind of improved in the following season. And it's weird, though. We'll be in a situation with Mayo. If he does play the young guys and they perform, then everybody's going to ask, well, how come you didn't play him earlier? It's a situation, but I think it is key to see how these guys perform, what they look like, what these receivers look like with May. Are these going to be his guys going forward? And I think it would be it would be good mentally for Polk and Baker to have a decent December. I know it's going to be hard. The weather's going to really make things hard for them, but I think it would be good for all these rookies and young second-year guys to really perform, really get a chance to shine. And it puts pressure. If they do shine, it puts pressure on the older guys like that. I think I might be done as a Patriot if these young guys come in and really push them out and really show something. And we just talked about the draft briefly. We'll get into a little more, but it might change how you approach the draft if these guys come out and really do something against really good teams at the end of the season. So it'd be a good look. It'd be a fun watch. And I really want to see also which one of these guys, if any of them check out. What's the mindset? What's the mentality of these guys if they're getting blown out or if they're whatever situation comes up? I want to see how many of them stay engaged all the way through to the rest of the season. I think that's going to be a key part of knowing what kind of players you have in your locker room more than what kind of talented players, what kind of players you have mentally. So I think it would be a good look to get a lot of these guys some playing time.
And I think especially with Jalen Polk, just because a lot of the issues he's dealing with right now seem to be mental.
Yeah.
So if you can get him a chance to get on the field, now he actually has to take advantage of the reps, and that's another story. But if you can get him on the field to get some reps here late, and maybe that just kind of helps him going into the offseason, helps him get on the right page. But, yeah, that's another big thing. Who checks out? Who stays locked in? Who's going to be a part of this core moving forward? I think that's important as well. All right, we're getting calls this morning, so on the bye-week edition.
I didn't think anybody would call in the bye week, but
I think we've had more calls today than we've had every show to this point combined. 617-779-0985. You want to join us? Speaking of the wide receivers, Craig in Austin has a thought on that. Craig, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Alex and Cerrone. Thanks for making my drive into work nice on a Sunday morning.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, man.
Hey, a couple quick things. I think the running back issue, number one, is because we don't have a wide receiver group. The linebackers can line up close to the line and stuff those lanes. Number two, I don't like drafting a wide receiver. Our history has been horrible with the draft and a wide receiver. I think we need to bring someone in that can coach the younger wide receivers as like a T Higgins, and then, kind of get their attitudes in check and show them what a top wide receiver does and looks like. And my last thing on the bye week, I like the idea of doing the free agency, the trade deadline, but also why don't we have a cheerleader competition during that week also, a team cheerleader competition? I'll listen, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the call, Craig. You might have to hit up the XFL with that last line. I'm with him on the. Yes, a big part of the issue with the running game, it's been this way for years. I mean, going back to Mac Jones' rookie year, teams don't respect the pass. They'll play single high. They'll throw 7, 8 guys in the box and just dare the Patriots to beat them deep and throw against it. And the Patriots can't right now. So that is improving the passing game will improve the running game. There are some issues with the running game that are self-contained, but that's been a complementary football, long-standing issue for the Patriots. If you can't throw the ball, you're going to struggle to run the ball.
Do you think there's – I was thinking about this the other day. Do you think there's some fear with overpaying for receivers now, kind of because of what's happened recently with these big-name free agent receivers? You know, you're not – but the Brandon Ayuk thing ended up being a disaster for San Francisco. I mean, when he was out there, he wasn't really producing. Then he goes out with the injury. And you had Calvin Ridley got off to a really, really slow start in Tennessee. He's kind of come on late, but with these teams paying these guys $30 million a year plus, do you think it's going to make other owners going forward a little hesitant to throw that kind of money at receivers, seeing and not making the impact as they thought they would, like this past offseason? Kind of like a fear of like, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't give some of these receivers that kind of money because we just don't know, are we going to get a return on that investment? Do you think the Patriots and others could be turned away from that?
No, not really. It's a passing league. A elite receiver can change so much about your offense. If anything, now that being said, I do think you could see the price of receivers not come down, but steady out relative to the rest of the league because there's just so many of them. Because there's so many good receivers that there's not a demand. Yeah. If anything brings the price down or just levels it out, to me, it's that. All right, let's go to JP in North Providence on the coaching staff. JP.
Cerrone, battles, bye week. I like it. You need a theme song, though, for it. Maybe some ideas there. The one person, never mind the Patriots, Joe Murray and Leroy need this bye more than anybody after 3 hours every Sunday night with this season. So you guys made me think of something just listening. I forgot who said it. Said, Van Pelt's done a great job with the quarterback. The defense isn't that bad. Are our coaches one level higher than they should be? Should Van Pelt be the quarterback's coach? Should Mayo be the defensive coordinator and drop everybody down? Because it sounds like they're all one category away from what they should be. And for a thought on bye week, what if you had the two teams that finished first, the two best records the year before play on the bye week and everybody else has a bye week? Something like that. Or take one of the stupid London games and put it there. People will watch anything rather than 7 o'clock in the morning in London.
So I've said in regards to the bye week, I've said that when they added the 17th game, and I'll say this again for the 18th game, the NFL should add protected rivalries like they have in college football. And every AFC, and baseball does this, every AFC team should have an NFC counterpart that they play every year. And then when it's their turn in the rotation, they play them twice. And you just match up natural rivals. So you would have Giants-Jets. You would have Steelers-Eagles. I wrote about this on 985sports.com a couple years ago. My matchup for the Patriots was Seattle. I had a couple other options, but just the way it all fell out, Seattle made the most sense. So maybe you do it that way. Maybe you do 2 rivalry weeks, and you split the bye weeks up that way.
Yeah, I mean, that works. And I look, I think that's a good idea, and have, like you said, the alternate week, 1 week 8, 1 week 9, whatever, one group week 8, one group week 9. And look, I like that. And that's something that you can build up. That's something that you can market. That's the networks would eat that up, and they would sell it. They would probably come up with alternate jerseys and all kinds of stuff for it. They would do something cool for that. And I like the idea we mentioned. I don't know how you do it, but the London games. Find a way to get a big London matchup or something like that with the big overseas games. During that middle of the season, everybody else is kind of off, but you have, a doubleheader game, a London game, a Germany game, doubleheader, and then next week another London and Germany game, or whatever how you want to do it. And it was Mexico City, but I think they do the preseason games then. But figure out a way to do those international games all around those 2 weeks. Everybody else is off, but the teams playing the international games kind of play those weeks, and then you alternate that way too. And they can market that and sell it. I know it throws the time schedule off, But I think that's a good idea. I think that'd be kind of fun. It's something that folks, now you look forward to it and wouldn't be caught off guard. Like, oh man, there's a game at 9 a.m. Something cool like that where you have a set time during the year where you play those international games.
All right, let's go to Pete in Plainville. Pete.
Hey guys, how you doing? Great show.
Thank you.
So I agree with your premise about playing, Baker, Wallace, Polk. But the problem with the receivers is half the time they don't even know where they're going. And then, because, on that touchdown pass last week that May had, you can see Polk is probably in the wrong area or running a lousy route, something of that effect, because he's basically standing right next to Hooper, and it looks like Hooper is going to the right spot. And then the last, with the linemen, I agree. I want all the young guys to play. But if they can't play, then you're going to retard the growth of May. And as much as I want to see if these guys can or can't play, we don't want to have May backslide towards the end of the season and have him lose his confidence issues. Because it looks like, just in general, and look at Stroud, he was amazing last year. He's really struggling this year. So there's usually a little bit of a sophomore slump. So we don't want to start that a little early because we have to play, Baker or Polk and go from there. So, I guess that's the biggest question. What do you do moving into the off season? Where do you spend your money? Where do you draft? Do you guys have a preference? I've seen enough of Higgins. I'll take Higgins and then draft linemen and just keep drafting linemen. I just wonder what you guys think.
So, Pete, thanks for the call. We'll do off-season plan in the next hour. What he said before that about Drake May and the young players, I think, is a really good point. And that's the game you play. You don't – ideally, what's best for Drake May and what's best for Jalen Polk. What's best for Drake May and what's best for Javon Baker. What's best for Drake May and what's best for Caden Wallace. Ideally, those are all the same thing. They're not right now. They're not.
Yeah.
And that is why I said a few weeks ago, you've got to get Jalen Polk off the field because it's hurting the quarterback's development. You do need to play these guys eventually. And I as weird as this sounds, I'm at the point, especially with the receivers, Drake May can handle it. For 4 games, I think I wouldn't put them out there together. But if you have Hunter Henry out there, you have Pop Douglas out there, you have Kendrick Bourne out there, if Jalen Polk's out there running a bad route, I still think Drake May can make it work. Now, the line's a little different.
Yeah.
The line's a little different because you don't want him getting sped up. You don't want him getting hit. You don't want him getting hurt. I liked what I saw from Caden Wallace before he got hurt enough that I'd put him out there and feel okay about it.
Yeah.
Layden Robinson's another story, but it just seems like they're going to put him out there anyway because they just really like him. But I think you are at the point where you do need to start seeing what you have in those guys. All right, we've talked a lot about the current Patriots and coaching staff. How about the former coaching staff? Some big news out of nowhere this week on Bill Belichick. So we got to react to that. We'll do that next. Plus, Around the League coming up at 9 o'clock. Our long commercial-free segment next on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Owen. It's head coach opening. What more can you tell us about this?
Listen, Bill Belichick wants to coach next year, whether it's in college or whether it's in the NFL. And I think the fact that he's talking to colleges like North Carolina, as Inside Carolina first reported, is an indication that he is open-minded in any way, shape, or form. I'm sure he's enjoyed being a media darling this year, Kevin, but he is at heart a coach. And he would like to get back to coaching, whether that's at the NFL level or if it's the right situation with the right organization, the right staff surrounding him at the college level. It's a different game, college these days, but he's not closing off that option, as evidenced by the fact that he has now spoken with officials from North Carolina about the school's head coaching vacancy.
Bill Belichick back to college. Here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone battle. I was floored when I saw this on Thursday.
I didn't believe it.
I mean, to say I thought that there was a better chance he stayed in media than coached college would be a lie, because I didn't even consider him coaching college. That was so not on my radar. And the more you hear about it, it makes a little bit of sense, right? There was a report yesterday that the plan is for him to take the job with Steve to be the head coach in waiting, which is makes you wonder if that's the setup he wanted here that he didn't get. You know, he probably is better equipped for it at this point with the NIL and some of that stuff. You do need to be a GM. Why North Carolina? I mean, there's an opening, I guess, but I think if he let it be known that he wanted to do college, more teams would open up. But maybe doing Lawrence Taylor a favor, one of his favorite players of all time, a UNC alum, wild. And look, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to see it. I mean,
no, you're right.
I want him in the NFL. I want him back in the NFL. I want him to break Shula's record, all of that. But now a part of me is like, I need to see what this looks like.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick. And by the way, the ACC sucks.
Yeah, he has a chance.
That ACC championship game last night, that's the best the conference has to offer. You're going to get players transferring in left and right for a chance to play with Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of want to see what that looks like. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's funny. The locals hate the idea of it. They don't want him anywhere near. Yeah, they hate the idea, because the biggest thing is you just got rid of an old guy. They think the biggest issue with Mac Brown was he was too old, and then you come in and say, let's bring the 72-year-old guy in to do his thing, and they hate the idea of it. Then you have some who are thinking the same thing you're thinking, like, well, if he is here, we don't know how he's going to handle being around all these young kids, but he's going to get a huge boost in the transfer portal. Everybody's going to want to come and play for UNC now because they're going to feel it's a pipeline to the NFL, his ties to Saban, all that type of stuff. The same type of vibe they got from Nick Saban in Alabama, they think they can get from Bill Belichick down here. But I'm curious to see it. I'll be locked in through this whole process to see how it looks out. Now on the field, the coaching, we know what he can do when it comes to coaching. And getting these young guys to buy in to what he's teaching and coaching them, I think will be great. It's just dealing with a room with 70, 18, 19-year-olds. And that's going to be the wild part for me and see how he handles that. Now, is he doing it for a favor to help out his son and get his son in this position? Any father who have opportunity to do it would do the same thing. So, I'm curious to see how it works out. But was there a part in there that said something about Josh McDaniels' brother-in-law or something like that?
His brother, yeah. Ben McDaniels.
His brother, okay, there it is.
With the Texans.
Okay.
So it'd be him, Patricia, like the usual cast. Joe Judge interviewed for the UMass coaching job apparently last week, so he's back in the college level, but he's in that world. It would be fascinating. It would be fascinating. And by the way, everybody up here suddenly would have to care about college football, and that'd be a win.
That's great. In that game, his first game, he's going to be on BC's schedule to play in Chestnut Hill.
Oh yeah. And when we get to the
every
draft,
year,
and when we get to the draft and all the UNC guys in the draft, it'd be so much fun. It'd be so much fun.
It'd be great for me.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It still sounds like maybe it's an outside shot, but we had to talk about it because that is just fascinating stuff. Quick check of the headlines here, 90 seconds, no commercials. Then we go around the NFL Week 14 next on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
WBZ FM and HD Boston.
Patriots!
From the opening kickoff to the final play.
Touchdown!
Your home of the pass. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
It is week 14 in the NFL. Patriots are on the bye. They'll be back in action next week on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. There are two games today on the Sports Hub with the Patriots off. In the 1 o'clock window, we have Falcons-Vikings. In the 4 o'clock window, we have Seahawks-Cardinals. Sunday Night Football tonight is the Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. College Football Conference Championship Saturday was yesterday. Arizona beat Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game. Georgia beat Texas in the SEC. Oregon beat Penn State in the Big Ten, and Clemson beat SMU in the ACC. The final rankings and initial playoff bracket will be announced later today. The selection show starts at noon. The Bruins beat the Flyers 4-3 in overtime yesterday. Pavel Zacha scored the game-winning goal. Trent Frederick, 2 goals of his own in that one. And the Celtics lost 127-121 to the Memphis Grizzlies last night. Marcus Smart scored 3 points in 19 minutes in his first game back at TD Garden after being traded last year. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by South Shore Bank. At Beatles Bank, sharing your success and growing your business is what's above and beyond banking is all about. Happy holidays from South Shore Bank, member FDIC, member DIF, equal housing lender. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 10 o'clock.
Boston plays here.
Pressure, half court, it's in the air. He got it! He did it again!
98.5 The Sports Hub. It's never too early to talk football on Sunday.
Coming to the game on Sunday.
This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Pick a target.
You pick it.
Take your pick.
Pick me! Pick me!
I did not pick. There was no pick.
Pick him up. You pick him up.
Pick.
I pick.
Pick me, pick me, pick me.
Pick the teams.
Pick one, jerk.
Week 14 in the NFL. Let's go around the league. No Patriots, but still plenty of football to watch. This segment might be more relevant this week than any, Cerrone, because Patriots fans get to watch all these games. No Patriots in the middle of it. Only time this, I guess Thursday night game. Second time this year the Patriots fans have a full Sunday without their team. But we'll start on Thursday with the Lions and the Packers.
I'll get 2 venti. I go to Starbucks. I get 2 venti of the pipe with 2 shots in them. So black eye in both.
Dan Campbell, his play calling suggests that much caffeine. The 4th down decision with the game-winning field goal right there. But it worked. It worked, and the Lions win 34-31.
They're good, man. The Lions are good. All the injuries they have on defense, and they're still just out there winning games, beating good teams. This Lions team is good, and, we kind of clowned his aggression, as a head coach when a few years ago we went forward on 4th down 6 times against Bailey Zappi. But he's carried it over. The team believes in him, and they kind of look forward to those 4th downs, and they converting them and winning. So more power to them, but the Lions are a good team, man.
That game, by the way, had the highest total of the week, 53 points. All right, let's get to today. AFC East matchup between the 5-7 Dolphins and 3-9 Jets.
Let's make sure we play like the New York Jets. Let's go to eat a damn snack.
New York Jets playing like a 3-9 team. They're 5.5-point underdogs on the road at Miami.
Yeah, Miami at home. They're coming off of what happened with them up in Green Bay. They're back home where it's nice and warm and all that good stuff. So I got the Dolphins winning big against the Jets with Breece Hall out and Garner being out. So give me the Dolphins big.
I'm with you. I'll take the Dolphins in that when they hang around the back end of that playoff hunt. This game you'll hear on the Sports Hub starting at 1 o'clock. The 6-6 Falcons at the 10-2 Vikings.
You like that? You like that?
It is the Kirk Cousins revenge game, although there are calls for Kirk Cousins to maybe be benched in favor of Michael Penix. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold and the Vikings cruising. They're 10-2, 5.5-point favorites at home.
Yeah, give me the Vikings at home in this one. And look, I thought Atlanta, the way Cousins started off and the way this team started off, I thought he was going to be an MVP candidate the way he was going, but you can't throw 4 interceptions to somebody like he did last week. and not have the fans looking for the new shiny car in the driveway and Michael Penix. So, I mean, it's tough on him, but I think they keep this game close because Minnesota's winning but not dominating. But give me Minnesota at home in a tight one.
And there's a report today from Adam Schefter that the Vikings are not talking with Sam Darnold about a new contract. Now, you used first-round pick on J.J. McCarthy, so that makes sense. But, showcase time. Showcase time. Go get that new contract. So I think the Vikings win that one and cover the 5.5. In the NFC, 4-8 Saints at 2-10 Giants.
Go home and play Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You can't disrespect Pokemon like that. Pokemon.
So this game obviously has some implications for the Patriots. Giants, one of the teams ahead in the draft order at 2-10. They're 4.5-point underdogs at home against the Saints.
It's weird. I might have to take the Giants in this one because it's in New York. It's freezing. Yeah. And a dome team coming up there just might have the mental mistakes or just the drops, kind of SMU at Clemson yesterday. It could be a similar situation where, a dome team just can't get it going in New York, even though they're trying to lose. I may take New York in a tight, low-scoring game in this one.
I would take the Giants to at least cover the 4.5. Like, the Saints aren't a great team, and like you said, dome team coming up here. It's nasty out today. I'll take the Giants. How about the biggest spread of the week? 3-9 Panthers at 10-2 Eagles.
Jalen Hurts is a winner. He's a winner. He wins, right?
You ready for this one, Cerrone? 13.5 points.
Oof.
The Eagles at home. You're not supposed to see lines that big in the NFL.
No, I think the Panthers cover that. They've played decent football lately. They just had a couple heartbreaking losses, but I think they cover that and kind of play this game tight and do just enough. But this is the type of game the Eagles lose, though, for some reason. But I think Carolina stays in this game. I don't pick them to win it, but I think they stay close enough.
I think the Eagles. I think the Panthers cover too, because again, you just don't see a line that big in the NFL that often. AFC North 3-9 Browns at 9-3 Steelers.
And then bang bang, back-to-back drives with turnovers. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is really an NFL's filmed moment.
And then it was. And then he had the one last week. What was it? Lord, deliver me from pick sixes. Browns are 6.5-point underdogs going into Cleveland. Give me the Browns. Give me the Jameis, at least a cover. Jameis Winston, there's something going there that I like. Give me the Browns.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be tight. I don't know how it's going to get there. I don't know if it's going to be a big comeback or the Browns let the Steelers come back, but some way, one or the other is going to be a tight game at the end. And I got the Browns to cover this one, but I got the Steelers winning in a close one.
Pirate Bowl, Super Bowl 37 rematch. The 2-10 Raiders at the 6-6 Bucks.
So MD walks in. He sits up there. He's got the same seats. He absolutely is dialed in at PF Chang's.
Gruden's been really good on Barstool. I've enjoyed him. I'm glad he's doing that. Although now everybody's like, "Oh, does he come back to coaching?" Bucks are 6.5-point favorites at home.
Yeah, Raiders make it look good, same way as the Browns. Make it look good, find a way to shoot themselves in the foot in the end. Give me the Buccaneers to win this one in a close one.
I'll take the Bucks to cover the 6.5. They have too much talent. That Raiders team is not good. Not good at all. Give me the Bucks. Here's two teams also in contention for first overall pick. This one important Patriots fans. 2-10 Jags at 3-9 Titans.
I like to do a little bit of rapping.
It does sound like it's going to be Mac Jones again for Jacksonville. Lowest total of the week in this one, 40 points. Titans, 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about coaching staffs that need to be fired. These guys went out and spent the money. They got talent and all that type of stuff, and they're sitting there with 2 and 3 wins. I'm going to take the Titans because they're at home, and Jacksonville's just so beat up right now, so I don't see them competing much in this one. Give me the Titans in a close one.
I'm going to take the Jaguars because I feel like they would hold the first overall pick if the draft was today. And Trevor Lawrence is hurt. It's just all bad vibes. And I think the fans have finally come content with, okay, this is a bad year. Let's just get a new quarterback. Overall pick. Let's get Travis Hunter and move forward. So it'd be
who do you think? You think they take a quarterback?
No, I think they take Travis Hunter.
You wouldn't take the Florida kid, the kid Miami, Cam Ward?
No, they not with the contract they gave Trevor Lawrence. I think he has at least another year. But it would be just like the Jags. The fan base is finally okay with the team losing, and they win one. Sorry, Kendra Middleton. So I'll take the Jaguars in that one. Let's go on a 4 o'clock window, and again, you'll hear this game on 98.5 The Sports Hub later this afternoon. The 6-6 Cardinals host the 7-5 Seahawks.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though.
Cardinals 2.5-point favorites.
Give me the Seahawks. Seahawks has got them a couple weeks ago. I think they're going in two opposite directions right now. The Cardinals, I just can't figure them out. They look great one week and then just kind of fall off a little bit offensively. Give me the Seahawks to cover this one. They seem like they kind of have the number.
Yeah, you said it. Two teams heading in opposite directions. I'll take the Seahawks in this one. 425 is in that game of the week window. The 10-2 Bills at the 6-6 Rams.
Once you tease me, you're going. He's a war daddy.
Highest total of the day, not of the week. That was Thursday night game of the day. 49.5. Bills 3.5-point favorites. I know they won last week in the snow. That Niners team had no idea what they were doing. Josh Allen gets to go back inside. I think that's beneficial for him. Give me Buffalo.
Yeah, give me Buffalo in this one, and I would love to see Buffalo light them up for fantasy reasons, but give me Buffalo to win this one. The Rams, again, like the Cardinals, I just don't know what to expect from them. They're too inconsistent. Give me the Bills.
Final game in the 4 o'clock window, 4-8 Bears at 5-7 Niners.
I'm tired, Grandpa. They say, that's too damn man.
These are two teams coming up well short of expectations this year. 49ers, they got to answer something. Can I talk about Kyle Shanahan yet?
I was about to ask you, man. Go ahead and jump on Shanahan,
Tell
man.
me when I can talk about Kyle Shanahan. Might be 5-8. They'll win this one. Niners 3.5 point favorites, but they'll win this one. They'll get back to 6-7. But I know they've had some injuries. But the whole thing about Kyle Shanahan is he's supposed to be above all that. So you tell me when I can talk about him.
It's funny how every other coach doesn't get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to having injuries on their team. But Kyle Shanahan's, no. If they had all their players, they'd be a lot better. I think about 30 teams would feel the same way. If they had all their top players, they'd be better. But give me the Niners to win this one in a tight one. But I'm not saying that with my chest. I don't really buy them too much. And Shanahan, it should be some questions about Shanahan and his team. I don't see them getting any better anytime soon.
If I'm Bill Belichick, we talked about
that's the one you want.
That I was going to say, I'm rooting hard for the Chicago Bears today, and whoever plays the Niners the rest of the year, that's the job I want because they're just a quarterback away. Yeah, I think it would be something if Caleb Williams goes because they still have some of the pieces on defense. It'd be something if Caleb Williams goes in there and beats even this version of the Niners. That would be huge for him for the up and down rookie season he's had. That's one you put that feather in your cap and you say, okay, I've made progress as a rookie.
Yeah.
Sunday night football, the 8-4 Chargers at 11-1 Chiefs.
I'd lay down my life for my brother, but I would not let him win a football game.
The Chiefs 4.5 point favorites in this divisional game in prime time.
Man, I get the Chargers. I think the Chargers is the better team. The Chiefs they're winning these games, but it's like they probably should have lost 7 of them games this season. But I got the Chargers, who are kind of low-key playing good football and still under the radar a little bit. I just think the Chargers are a little more balanced right now than the Chiefs, and I think they can win this game. They should win this game.
Kyle said the same thing during the break. He's got the Chargers tonight. What was it, 4.5? Chargers will cover that. Chiefs will win late on some nonsense. Because, I mean,
roughing the kicker.
We know how this goes at this point. Or some, ridiculous snap, whatever. They're just cruising right on through. And then Monday Night Football, you excited for this one? Throwing 4-8 Bengals at 5-7 Cowboys.
And so, having said that, I want me some glory hole.
Cowboys are still technically alive in that NFC playoff race, but they are 5.5 point underdogs at home.
Another situation where 2 coaches should be fired. These were 2 teams we thought would be contending for Super Bowls, and here they are, 4-5 wins. The Bengals, we thought they were top team in the AFC, one of them, and they've been bad since week 1. Give me Cowboys at home. Cincinnati's going to find the same way Kansas City finding ways to win games. Cincinnati's going to find a way to lose this game in Dallas. Give me the Cowboys at home.
It's a night game, so you won't have to worry about the glare from the windows coming into that back end zone. Give me the Cowboys to cover the 5.5 and win. 6 bye weeks this week as you set your fantasy lineups. Ravens, Broncos, Texans, Colts, Patriots, and Commanders. So set your lineup accordingly. And that is week 14 in the NFL. All right, we got some calls about the offseason. We danced around it. Let's get into some offseason talk. We'll do that next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
to $24.
Travis Hunter, get ready to hear that name quite a bit, as well as a few others. It's Alex Barth, Cerrone battle here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. Kyle Fabrizio behind the glass. It is the bye week. We are taking stock. This has also kind of been the week because it's the late bye week. It feels like the draft talk has started. Did that on Catch 22 with Devin Lazar earlier this week. Wrote about it this week. Had some time. You can check that out on 985thesportshub.com just to check in on the top prospects at the end of the college football regular season. Obviously, we're not done yet. We still have the playoff, and I do want to just talk some college football, Cerrone, too. We can do that at the end of the segment, but
sure.
Travis Hunter, to me, feels like, unless they get the first overall pick, he's not an option. He's going to go 1-1. He's the most talented player in his class. I think that with that talent, there's a challenge. And you've heard me talk quite a bit, and anybody who's listened to the show has heard me talk quite a bit about the nature versus nurture elements of the NFL draft. And outright talent can only do so much. You have to develop the player correctly, and Travis Hunter's development plan, there's probably more than one right answer, but, you know, how are you going to use him? He's a very unique player. Outside of him, there's a lot of different ways this thing could go. I don't think that there's a real clear answer. You know, I think ideally it would be a tackle, but Will Campbell, there's questions about his arm length. Kelvin Banks, there's just questions about his ability. Tet McMillan, good receiver. If he was in last year's class, he's probably wide receiver 3 or 4. So do you take that guy in the top 5? Do they go defense? There's some good defensive players, but it feels like everybody, you know, do you want to make a point of getting help for Drake May? So I think the big 3 needs are clear. Wide receiver, tackle, pass rusher.
Yeah.
But between free agency and the draft and all of that, there's a lot of different ways they can go. So are you leaning any one way particular when it comes to the draft?
Not really, man. Since they need help at so many places, it's almost like they one of these teams in those take the best player available situation. I mean, outside of a quarterback. And you look at some of these mock drafts that are going around CBS Sports, some of the others, they're all different. Some of them have no wide receivers going in the first round. Some of them are edge heavy. You know, you see a lot of the pass rushers getting some love. A lot of them have the Patriots obviously taking a left tackle, but I'm kind of in the which one do you want to get the veteran for? You know what I'm saying? Like which
free
one
agency comes first?
Yeah, it's like which do I want the veteran left tackle or do I want put a rookie over there, the young up and coming rookie? Do I want the veteran receiver? Do I want to spend the money on the receiver, bring a veteran in, or go rookie again? Same thing with an edge rusher. Do I want a veteran, a proven guy, a good locker room guy, a leader, a mature guy on my defense, or do I want to go with a youth movement? So I think that's where it's going to get tricky. But and I said this week and kind of going back and forth on it. In a weird way, it's feeling like the biggest letdown for the Patriots this season has been their front seven, and which I didn't really see coming, you know, before the season started. And I'm kind of leaning toward them getting just a disruptor in their front seven that can make them a dominant defensive team. That way, no matter what happens on the offense, you're still going to be in games because you're just playing great defense. And I'm kind of leaning that way because I think a lot of the edge rushers are going to go in the first round, so you're not going to be able to get one later. But I'm leaning toward a disruptor at this point on defense.
So you said in there, you know, best player available unless it's a quarterback. If it's a quarterback, if the best player on the board is a quarterback, the Patriots should trade down. I think unless they have a shot at Travis Hunter, they should trade down. This feels like a trade down year. You get an extra first round pick next year. That to me, you're probably going to get, it may be a different position. You're probably going to get about the same caliber of player at 7 or 8 than you are at 4. I wouldn't trade outside of the top 10, but you're probably going to get the same caliber player around 7 or 8 you are at 4. So this, for a team that needs talent across the board, that feels like a win-win. All right, you said you want a defensive player, though. What'd you think of Abdul Carter last night against Oregon?
My dude's a freak. He's a freak, man. There was a play where he got held, where they didn't call the holding, and then he made the tackle. Of a pass play. He threw the ball and he made the tackle. He got held, was in the backfield. Quarterback throws it out, maybe about 7 yards to his right. He's right there making the tackle. I'm like, yo, this dude's a freak. And I think they need a freakish guy that you just can't game plan for like that. There's no strategy to something like that. But again, I mean, I think the fans will kind of be upset with that at first because they're so big on getting a left tackle right now or a receiver. But I would like to have somebody like that who's just out there, who's a defensive player who you want to watch. Like you're tuned in to see what this kid's going to do. And I think he's going to be that kind of player as a defensive end.
Well, look, I'll say this. Carter was good last night. So was Josh Connerly, the left tackle for Oregon, who hasn't been talked about a ton. And he's not expected to go, maybe have trade back into the first round, but later in the first round, he's not expected to go as high. So he's a player to know.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think some of these, because you're not seeing a lot of left tackles in the early part of the first round in a lot of these mock drafts, do you think there'll be a good one there in the second round for this Patriots team?
It's too early to tell. If there is, I think it's Connerly. The thing is, when these guys are good, teams usually figure out they're good and they fly up the boards. So, but if there is, I think it's Connerly. He's one guy I'm looking at. We got a good look at a lot of these guys yesterday. Kelvin Banks wasn't one of them because he was obviously hurt. We got a good look at a lot of these guys yesterday. What'd you think of championship Saturday, championship weekend?
Oh, it's fun. It adds juice. The playoff adds juice to it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it adds so much importance to these games. Now we're sitting there like, man, SMU lost, but they showed something late. You know, are they worthy of being in over Alabama, who's got 3 losses? And, you know, I don't think they should be even mentioned, but it is what it is. It's good for ratings, good for TV. But I guess Bama won the games they needed to win to be close enough to be considered. But I think all of this adds juice to it. I think a lot of people who didn't get a chance to really watch Oregon games, they saw what that Oregon offense can do with kind of speed and playmaking they have out there. And their quarterback, who kind of reminds me of the way Tua played when he was in college, very accurate quarterback. I mean, at one point, I think in the first half, he had 2 incomplete passes, and they both were batted down at the line. So, I mean, you're getting to see what some of these other guys can do. And I don't think anybody helped themselves in the court of public opinion like Arizona State. I think people watched them and was like, oh, snap, I might use them in NCAA. They look like a really cool, fun team. And the team you don't want to play. Could they be the first Cinderella in this playoff scenario? So I think it was really cool, and it adds so much juice to the season. I'm already here for it.
So who do you got? Does Alabama get in? Are you putting in SMU and Clemson into the playoff?
That's the thing. I think Alabama gets in. I would like to see SMU get in there, and because of the season that they've had. But I think Alabama gets in there. Clemson, they did what they were supposed to do. Clemson not using the transfer portal, I think it's pretty cool for them to get in, in those circumstances. But I think Alabama gets in over SMU in that last spot.
I just think that's dangerous precedent because you can't punish a team for playing in a conference championship because now you're going to have conferences fold the championships. Because they want to get as many teams in, right? If SMU doesn't play in the conference championship, they're in. Now, that doesn't mean it won't happen. I'm sure the committee wants to get Alabama in. I'm sure they do. But to me, and this is the seeding, not the ranking, the seeding.
Yeah.
Oregon, Georgia, Arizona State, Boise State. Those are your buys. Texas, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State get home games. Tennessee, Indiana, Clemson, SMU on the road.
Say that again with your home teams?
Texas,
yep,
Notre Dame, Ohio State, and then I had Penn State over Tennessee for the last spot.
Okay, see, those are the ones I'm the most curious to watch because you're going to get those cold weather teams with those home games.
Tennessee at Penn State, oh yeah.
Tennessee at Penn State, yes.
Clemson at Notre Dame.
I'm here for that because you never get to see the ACC, SEC teams, whatever, late in the season have to play these cold weather games when they're important. You never get – every year you're seeing the SEC games are always in Louisiana, Dallas, or, somewhere nice in Atlanta. But now you're going to see some of these teams play and the strategy changes, just everything. So I'm all here for that. But, yeah, it would stink to see Alabama get in because they didn't really have – they just had to sit around and wait and SMU gets booted out. But – it'd be great. It'd be fun to see SMU get in there. We have a playoff with, all these teams that we didn't expect the Boise States and all them to be in it. So I think it'd be very cool and very fun watch.
Also, SMU, Texas. I don't think that's officially a rivalry, but
that's good.
They're right by each other. They haven't played since the 90s.
That'd be great TV.
A lot of fun. So I know this was supposed to be a draft segment. It turned into college football.
No, but wait, we're going to see all the players, though.
Right, exactly. Well, that's kind of
the thing.
To add. So do you remember Michael Penix last year had that massive game against Texas?
Yep.
And does he go top 10 if he doesn't have that game? I don't know. And I know he came back down to earth against Michigan, but that game kind of showed what the ceiling was. And I think that's part of the reason he went that high.
If it wasn't for the Michigan game, he might have gone 1-2.
Yeah. So
after that Texas game,
now you have even more of these opportunities where it's great players against great players and strength on strength. And these games are going to hold a ton of weight on tape. I look at Kelvin Banks, who obviously missed that game yesterday with an ankle injury, but Texas, you look at who they're potentially going to go through. Georgia, great pass rushers. Penn State, Abdul Carter, great pass rushers. Ohio State, he's going to have a chance to face some of the top pass rushers in this draft. And the same thing, the other way. Pass rushers facing Kelvin Banks, facing Josh Connerly at Oregon, some of these great tackles. We're going to get a chance to really evaluate these guys, and draft stock's going to move based on these games. Because the reality is, not every game's created equally, and two things that heavily weigh the games when you're looking at evaluating a player. One, you put more weight at the end of the year than at the beginning. You want to see how a player grows. Two, you put more weight against good opponents. You're not looking at what a guy did against FCS Northeast as closely as you're looking at what he did against Georgia or an Oregon. So now you're going to have more games late in the year against elite teams. The draft projections are going to shift pretty significantly based on what happens in these games.
The only thing missing for me in these playoffs right now is for the world to see Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders.
About that.
Yeah, I would love everybody. You're missing out a treat of getting to see this kid play against a major competition and some of the other talent on some of these teams that didn't get there. Colorado, we know what Travis Hunter and Sanders can do, but to watch them play against a Notre Dame or play against an Ohio State, to watch Travis Hunter on that stage on the road at Ohio State in the snow or something like that would be fantastic. But we're missing out on some of those guys. But if you're a Patriots fan, you need to be watching these left tackles and these defensive ends in every round of this playoff and taking notes, because your future player is probably right there in one of these games.
Yeah, and also be watching, because who knows, maybe one of these teams fires their coach and suddenly Bill Belichick.
Is your decoy?
If I'm Ohio State, State, if Bill wants to coach college football, I'd rather have Bill Belichick on 2 weeks' notice coaching my playoff game than Ryan Day. I'd be telling Ryan, I would have had Ryan Day clean out his office already. But
I'd be calling Belichick right now, hey, what are you doing Tuesday?
How soon?
Here's $100 million.
You could stay next year too, but get us through these playoffs.
So. Yeah, and your son is here's your son's contract for the next 5 years, and anybody else.
So that's quick draft, college football talk. Again, the bracket, the final rankings, those come out. The selection show is at noon today. It's scheduled for noon to 4. So I don't think they're going to make us wait until 4. Some of that will be analysis, but if you've watched the March Madness selection show, we might not have the full bracket until about 1 o'clock. Something to tune into. Let's bring it back to the Patriots, though. There was one more Patriots story this week I want to get to. We'll touch on that next on the final segment of this week's Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Bugs me the most about Elliott Wolf and Matt Groh is that you could literally have one of these draft nerds like Alex Barth.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
Get on up and get on down to Hooters.
Where else can you get a burger, fries, and an ice cold draft beer? Served by a world-famous Hooters girl for under $20. Fight inflation today and every day at your local Hooters. Saugus, Denham, Shrewsbury, and West Springfield. Hooters makes you happy.
This winter, call Smuggler's Notch Resort Vermont home. Home for everyone who expects the best experience and greatest value for their winter family vacations. 3 big mountains, 78 trails, terrain for all abilities, top to bottom snowmaking for the best conditions all season long. Your backyard includes heated pools, hot tubs, tubing, Nordic trails, endless indoor play at the Fun Zone 2.0. Everything is right at your doorstep. Shopping, dining, entertainment, and events. Visit smugs.com and save up to $700 on your winter vacation today.
Contractors Wilmington.
Back here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, bye-week edition. Alex Barth, Cerrone battle, taking up until 10 o'clock. Matt McCarthy will be in here next until 1. I'm sure you'll get plenty of Juan Soto talk with him. And then we have a couple of NFL games to do this afternoon. It'll be Falcons-Vikings at 1 and Seahawks-Cardinals at 4. Before we get to the last Patriots story, Cerrone, Ryan had that drop at the end of the break. Can we hear that again, Ryan?
Bugs me the most about Elliott Wolf and Matt Groh is that you could literally have one of these draft nerds like Alex Barth.
First of all, Kyle, I keep doing that. Second of all, all right, play the clip one more time because now I feel bad I got your name wrong. I was focused on
Bugs me the most about Elliott Wolf and Matt Groh is that you could literally have one of these draft nerds like Alex Barth.
So that was a caller in a Felgren Maz this week. The disgust in which he says my voice is incredible. Just the absolute disdain that he uses to say my name.
Like Alex Barth.
Oh, my God. He hates me so much. He can't stand when I talk draft. I don't know who this person is. He can't stand when I talk about the draft.
But it's the thing. Somebody has to talk about it.
It's going to be a long 4 months, buddy. Get ready for it.
Where do you think these players come from? I mean, it's somebody has to be the one to watch college football and have an idea who these players are.
Oh, learn them when they get here.
One of these draft nerds.
Same
learn them when they get here.
Same
like
person's
Alex Barth.
Alex Barth. Ugh. Alex Barth.
And he's going to be, like you said, I know if he's going to say it or not, but he's going to be the one that boos whoever they pick.
Well, that's the thing. Oh, he's going to be.
He doesn't know.
He's good. It's good. These are the same people who blindly say it was a bad pick. Who else was on the board? They don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And then when the kid lights it up,
I heard
you
that.
want to give somebody else credit.
Or these are the same people that just will regurgitate what you will say on these airwaves when talking about draft prospects, and that will be their valuation of the player once the Patriots take.
Not that guy. That guy's not regurgitating anything I said. He hates me. He does not like me. He's not a fan of mine.
Oh, just simply saying, for example, you last year, you watch college football, you do everything. Hey, Drake May can do this. He can't do that. And then when he does it, it's like, well, of course, everybody knew he could do that. He's a top 3 pick. It's like, oh, wait, really?
My favorite part of Alex from draft last year was how the Joe Milton line caught on like wildfire.
No, on the Drake May thing, it's like the number of people, how many times did I have to hear like, Cerrone, we took calls on this. Yeah, just take Marvin Harrison. He's the best player. And, you can win.
Get a quarterback later.
Why are you so obsessed with this quarterback class? Look at next year's quarterback. Can you imagine if we were doing quarterbacks this year?
All right, look at yours.
Especially they're at 4. So Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders are off the board. And maybe they're not at 4 if they don't have Drake May. Maybe they're higher. But, Drake May's really won them one game.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, we're going to have to talk ourselves into Carson Beck now?
Carson Beck, who looks like he destroyed his elbow yesterday.
Okay, hang on. The fact he came back in that game and handed the ball off after
with that same arm,
move his arm. Well, first, what are the Texas linebackers thinking? They're like waiting for the play action. He can't get his arm above his shoulder.
Right?
How's he going to throw the ball?
Yeah. And he did the same thing against Georgia Tech, but it was at the end of the game and he got away with it. He avoided it.
Right, but like crash down. If you're a linebacker, they're not throwing the ball there on no planet. Are they throwing the ball there? Ridiculous.
But yeah, think about the draft stock of Ewers in Texas. Yeah. Last year, everybody thought he was a first-round quarterback. Now you're looking at him and you're like, you look at any draft board, I don't think he's in the first round at all for anybody.
He should be benched for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that's too far. He's not
I think it is too. Yeah, but I mean, imagine, like you said, all the people who said, take Marvin Harrison, trade out of the pick, whatever, don't get the quarterback, wait. You'd be sitting here now trying to choose between Carson Beck and Ewers, who really hadn't done themselves any favors this season, and you'd be in a tough spot looking forward. Things be looking real bleak.
Right. So, anyway, quick little victory lap. Didn't even mean to do that, but
it's all right.
I hope that guy's listening. He heard me do that.
Like Alex Barth.
Oh, just so much hatred in his voice. So the other story this week for the Patriots, I mentioned this earlier, they are going to build a football-specific practice facility down at Gillette Stadium. So this is something most NFL teams have at this point. The Patriots facilities currently are self-contained within Gillette Stadium. So like the weight room, the players lounge, training rooms, things like that. Like it's all done in the facility. They'll now have this building. It will be adjacent to the current practice fields, which are also getting redone. They're going to be in the same place, but they're getting redone. And this will kind of be the new home for their day-to-day operation. So they'll still have the game day locker room in the stadium, but new locker room, player lounge, weight room, nutrition center, virtual reality rooms, hydro capability training rooms. I'm just, from the release here, they're putting a lot into this. It comes after the Patriots graded out very poorly in last year's NFLPA survey, which allows players to grade their club experience. Facilities are a big part of that. The Patriots facilities did not grade out well, in particularly the weight room, which received an F. Still another season for this thing. The expectation is spring of 2026. So you're looking at OTAs, maybe training camp for not next season, but the season after, if it runs behind. But this is something the team needed, and this should be a recruiting tool for them. I know some people got annoyed and said, why are the Crafts spending money on everything but the roster? And, they point to the Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is cosmetic. I get that. This is an investment in the football team. It's not an investment in a player, but you're going to get more out of the players you have. It's going to help you recruit players better, get players in free agency, keep players. They needed this. And you could argue maybe it's a little overdue, but they needed this. This is an important move by the franchise.
It is. And recruiting tool is exactly what it is. They see those player surveys. They want something they can show. When that guy comes in as a free agent, he's coming in for a meeting, he's got his family with him. Hey, let's look at our nice new facility here. And look, I mean, it's something we see across college. For those who watch college football, this college football programs have been doing this for years. And I was down here when NC State opened theirs, and it was like, man, that's impressive. A year later, UNC was like, oh, we got one too. And it was just, they just throwing them up. And it's the first place they take the recruits. They want to see the weight rooms. They want to see the virtual reality rooms that all these guys are starting to use and all these new features, family lounges and things like that. Those are part of the reasons you sell free agents. I mean, people are just so caught up in, it's all about the money. Just show them money, money, money. It's like, if I'm getting $100 million and we're fighting between 98 and 104, what's the small things that's going to make my life more comfortable when I'm playing with that team? And these are the small things. And like you said, they graded out with D's and F's across the board with these players. You have to make it a destination for free agents. You can have all the money in the world, but if they might not want your money because everything else looks like trash. So this is why Jerry's World exists. This is why the Vegas Stadium looks the way it looks. And why so many other teams are getting new stadiums and new facilities, because it is very attractive to free agents and it sells. And I think we have to start looking in the future is Gillette itself outdated? Is it time for a new football stadium? I think they by the time things are said and done, they're going to have one of the old ones when everybody else gets their new stuff built. So I think this absolutely helps in getting free agents. It's a perfect recruiting tool.
You mentioned the one in Vegas. I wouldn't be surprised if you see similarities there to what they're building. And I've been out there. When you talk about the Vegas Stadium, the practice facility, which is, it's a couple towns over. So this one is
I haven't seen that yet.
So this one is adjacent to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
The Vegas one is out. It's like a 10, 15-minute drive from the city. And Bill Belichick, remember a couple years ago when they had the joint practice out there, called it was it the Taj Mahal of football or something like that. It's truly, truly impressive. And having a facility like this important on the stadium, I figure now, all right, so you're not going to have a players lounge just for game days. Like, guys are showing up for the game day, show up, play the game, go home. Probably not going to have a weight room in the stadium. If you do, it's going to be a minor one. Like, that's all going to be over there. So in terms of like the team facilities, probably game day locker room gets dressed up a little bit once they have more space in there. Everything else is across.
I was about to ask that, Like, the stadium, to me, it's more about the fan experience than it is the player experience. Now that once this all gets done, this needed to be done. Once that all gets done, now I think it becomes more about the fan experience. And that, they can probably ride a little longer on that. They put all that money into the Lighthouse. I don't think they do that if they're planning to build a new stadium anytime soon. So that might be further away. But this is it. It essentially extends the lifespan of the stadium because all these facilities that were in there that were dated
you now have new ones. They're just outside of the stadium where you had more room and you can build them to the size and specifications that players are going to be looking for. And that's the new standard in the NFL.
Yeah, and like you said, I was about to ask you about that. Once you move the weight room and all those other things over there, now you improve the family room that I think was a F or something like that. All those things now get done over. They get expanded. You have way more space in the stadium to do other things that will attract players as well. So I think it's a win-win all the way around, and people have to understand, man, these guys have to invest in their players outside of just their contracts. You have to have a comfortable place for your players to play, to rehab from injuries, to work out, to be a place where they want to hang out at during the offseason. I want my players to get in here and get these workouts in and kind of be in the building. And if you have a nice facility, a nice setup for them, that goes a long way in free agency. Look, we just saw, I don't know how old the buildings are, but the Bruins and Celtics building those buildings on the Mass Pike. It's very attractive to free agents. Those are nice facilities they got over there.
Old. I think those are within the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think they absolutely help when you're bringing in players for free agency and stuff like that. It's just a cool look and it looks good driving by. So I mean, it's good for the Patriots for doing this, and good for them investing in their players other than the standard contracts.
Do you think we see any tangible impact in free agency this year from this?
Yes. I think they were going to spend money before, but I think the difference now is that Drake May is the biggest bargaining chip they have. When you have a young quarterback like that, offensively, you're going to get guys that come in now that are going to be more willing to listen because you have that kid thinking, okay, maybe I can get this kid in the Pro Bowl. Maybe he can get me in the Pro Bowl. And they're looking like, man, I can beat out every wide receiver they have. I'm going to get the reps. I'm going to get the targets. And same thing with linemen. I can go there and be the man. So I think they're going to be very attractive, and the Patriots are going to be very aggressive in free agency. Absolutely think so.
We do have a few more weeks before we get to that, of course. This was a nice little break to look ahead. Again, the Patriots on the bye week, so we kind of use this as a big picture show. Usually the bye week is big picture. It's about halfway. Okay, what did they do? What do they need to build on? The late bye, which we both said off the top, and neither one of us is a fan of. And hopefully the bye week should happen October, November. Like just bye month, do it like that. October, November, that's it. No need for December bye weeks. No need for September bye weeks. That defeats the main purpose of what the bye week is. So the Patriots were on the bye. We had some fun with this one. We kind of looked back at, the season, looking ahead to the offseason. If you missed any of the show, you can check it out on the Sports Hub YouTube page, also Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, wherever you get your podcasts. We post this show recaps right after. Kyle does a great job of getting them right up. Real quick, we'll get more to it next week. You got any thoughts on Patriots Cardinals, Cerrone?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that Cardinals game today. I want to see what's going on with them. A couple of weeks ago, I was thinking that's the Patriots are gonna get smoked by this team. Now I'm looking at them like, man, what's going on with the Cardinals? Is that a winnable game? What's their situation gonna be? Who comes out of it healthy? And next week, I want the fans to watch Gonzalez against Marvin Harrison Jr. I want to see. This is the guy you all wanted over the quarterback. I want to see what he looks like against Gonzalez, and that's going to be an interesting matchup, especially after today's game.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun part of it. Also, it feels like the last few times they've played the Cardinals come in as the better team and then just play down to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Now, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they went out there and it was the game Kyler tore his ACL, like early in the game, so obviously that didn't help. But feels like it's generally an interesting game. The Patriots and Cardinals play oddly regularly for AFC, NFC teams with that new tweak in the schedule, that new thing they've added. So I think we'll get a good one next week, but we'll break that down next week. Because again, the Patriots have 4 games left, and then we really begin, Cerrone. And then Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff really begins as we get into the offseason talk for real, the free agency, the draft, and things like that. So you got Matt McCarthy coming up next here at 10 o'clock. We're going to have a couple NFL games for you as well. At 1 o'clock, it is the Falcons and the Vikings. Then at 4 o'clock, it is the Seahawks and the Cardinals. So you can do a little advanced scouting for next week. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. There's no Sports Hub Patriots podcast this week, at least not on Monday with the bye week. We'll be off for that. But you can read my work, 985thesportshub.com. I have a couple things up from the end of this week. 5 non-Patriots NFL thoughts just around the league, including no more domes. No more domes. Let's keep the snow football. We've had fun with that. Also, a draft prospect check-in with the college football regular season coming to an end last weekend, kind of getting a better idea of where some of these guys are at. You can follow Cerrone on Twitter at Cerrone_battle. You can follow me on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Kyle Fabrizio behind the glass. Great job as always. Matt McCarthy coming up next here on the Sports Hub. Everybody, enjoy your bye week. Enjoy Red Zone. If you're somebody who doesn't watch Red Zone when the Patriots are on, like me, it is a Red Zone Sunday. We are long overdue. Everybody enjoy it. Enjoy your weekend. We will talk to you next week. Bye.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub. Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend bets against your team,